Okay, so we are going to go over the project worksheet for the poster project. These will be due April 30th. Online students will complete the discussion by Tuesday, May 2nd before 11:30, and then face-to-face students will do the critique during finals week, May 2nd, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. I doubt we'll be there that whole time. So we're going to design an 11 by 17 inch poster for Montana 988, and that's a state-funded suicide prevention hotline. And it's basically, the purpose of it is to provide confidential emotional support to people in suicidal crisis or emotional distress. And this is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day across Montana. We are going to give Amber Spring these poster designs, and she is the mental health specialist for MSU Northern, and she's going to show the Hill County Awareness Suicide Coalition these poster designs. And hopefully they'll be hung up around Hill County area. They may be turned into yard signs also for distribution. So the purpose of this poster is to grab attention from a distance and then pull viewers in, and then also to inform them that this hotline exists and hopefully can save lives. So in design with that in mind, suicide prevention is going to be the main theme of this poster. It's kind of a serious, somewhat depressing topic, but it doesn't have to be super depressing. We can try to offer hope to people and grab their attention and just help them out. It can be edgy, obviously, but just keep it within a certain limit of edginess, I guess. Here's some stats about suicide in Montana. It is a prevalent problem. It's been the top tier state, a top tier state for more than 100 years. So it's probably mostly due to, we have a kind of high poverty line. We have a lot of poverty. There's not a lot of resources for people. It's very rural, so it's kind of isolated. It might be our culture a little bit too. We don't talk about our feelings a lot, so that could be part of it. So I really want you to pick one at-risk group from this list here, this bulleted list, and focus your imagery, your fonts, your color scheme, those kinds of things to try and reach those people. So Native Americans, you might use some of their cultural things like a buffalo or teepees, anything that has to do with Native Americans. If you're not Native American, you might be a little confused on how to reach them. But if you have a Native American friend, you can run some of your designs by, just to make sure you're not using anything that's possibly taboo or not accepted by their culture, because you might accidentally make that mistake. So it's always good to show it to somebody. There is the Little River Institute on campus as well. They are, they know quite a bit about Native American culture, so, you can ask them as well. LGBTQ plus, a lot of their stuff might be rainbow colors, probably more of a fun vibe. Veterans, the American flag is going to be huge for that one. Probably mostly if you use images of people, maybe men. Women also, but, camouflage, things like that is really going to reach those veterans. Maybe more of a serious font, nothing too playful. Youth, obviously primary colors are going to be huge for youth. Using images of younger children, too, to reach that group is a good idea. Possibly with parents alongside them. Playful toys, things like that, to reach them. That's actually for really young people. This is more 15 to 24. So, I guess primary colors would not work for that. I'm sorry, I kind of goofed that up. It's ages 15 to 24, so it would be more trying to reach that younger group. So maybe more, edgy, more pop culture. Think of things that influence them. Maybe there's a cell phone in there, because it seems like they're on their phones a lot. I don't know. That might be a little bit of a tricky one to get. The elderly, you could use a picture of some older people in it, elderly people, to try and reach them. Middle-aged white men, a lot of these might be ranchers, farmers, people in rural communities. They tend to be pretty high on the list of who ends up being at risk for suicide in Montana. So I would like you to pick, at least one of these groups to design for, and kind of try to reach them through your design with your imagery that you choose, with your fonts and your color scheme. And so, yeah. So the following elements should be included in your poster design: the logos, the Montana DPHHS logo, and the 988 logo. That's provided in week 15 of Brightspace, I believe. You can download those. You need to use at least one of the 988s and one of the DPHHS logos. A strong central image. Hopefully it could be original digital or hand-drawn illustration. If it's hand-drawn, you'll have to scan it into the computer and turn it into CMYK and Photoshop and use that. It can be photo-based imagery as well, taken by you, which would be great, honestly, if you could take it yourself, because then we could have some, hopefully, locally relatable images. If you do use a stock photography website, maybe try to alter it in some way to make it more unique, change the colors on it, maybe clip out the background and put it on top of a solid color or a gradient in InDesign, just to kind of give it a little more oomph. Headline, a large, inspiring, attention-grabbing headline. Don't forget the font pair. If you wish to incorporate your text effect assignment, that is great. If not, you don't have to. So body copy, the formatting should remain basically the same as this. So you would basically just kind of do a copy paste of just, can't get this to work, of just like this section here. Basically to the end of this paragraph. For some reason I can't do it in here, but so at the end of resources, and you would copy paste that and bring that in and keep it in 3 paragraphs. You know, maybe having this still bolded would be a good idea. Okay, and then you can use stock images and illustrations and photography, but just, you know, just remember, this is a locally themed poster. We're going to be hanging this up in Hill County. So, you know, featuring local faces, local places, local landscape, local culture in the imagery, such as cowboy culture, farming, ranching, Native American, you know, local landscapes, you know, that would be great because that's really going to help you capture people and bring them into the design. Stock photography, people just kind of go blank and they don't notice it as much. Do remember that check your effective PPI in the links panel. No blurry images. You'll have to use Photoshop to edit your images from the links panel. You can control click or right click on file names in the links panel and then go to edit with Photoshop. And once it's in Photoshop, remember to go to image in the top menu and then mode, and then select CMYK from the flyout menu and then save that. If you save it out as a different file type, the image that you changed to CMYK in Photoshop, if you save it out as a different file type, then you'll have to relink it in the links panel in InDesign to that new file that you saved out after you changed it to CMYK. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So do the file package and zip that for a grade. The packaged file should have the InDesign file fonts and links in a high-resolution PDF file contained within it. And then you would zip that and then upload that into Brightspace for a grade. Have fun with this, experiment. Here are some poster designs for reference. Here's the headline on this one. This one's headline is just Montana 988. Here's the DPHHS logo here. We don't have this in our design. We're just going to have this part of it. That is downloadable in Brightspace. And then here's the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline logo here. You can use the rectangle one or the square one. There's quite a few options in Brightspace in the download folder. So you'll see that when you go to download those logos, what's available to you. But here's a square logo of the 988. So they use the square one. These guys use more of the rectangle one. But you can see the 3 paragraphs with the bolded text. So you would have to copy that from this project worksheet from this area here. Okay, so similar to what they're doing here, but you can use photography. They didn't use photography in theirs. Or you can use illustrations that you've created yourself. They can be hand-drawn, but they would just need to be scanned and brought into the computer. So I'm going to show you how you would set this document up in InDesign. If I can get my InDesign to work. Okay, so we can do a file new document. You could also just do new file here. And then we could go to print. And since this is a 11 by 17 tabloid size, this is kind of standard for most event posters to be this size. So click on this and you can see it'll put in 11 by 17. If you don't see inches, you can always just go to the drop down, but it should be 11 by 17. Pages 1. You know, columns, you don't need to mess with any of this. You don't need a bleed, so these won't matter. You can just leave these as is, no bleeds included, and then just create. It's pretty simple, actually. So this is our poster design. Okay, so we could actually go ahead and just do a file save as, save this into our documents folder in graphic design 231. Create a new folder, poster design project, create, and we could name this Mary Poster. We'll just do that. You can put your first name, obviously not my name. Poster design, no spaces in the file name, and then just push save. So now it's saved. We are in Window Workspace Essentials Classic. So, and then just make sure that your Properties panel is open too. This check mark should be there. And we do want the Properties panel kind of open. If it's not, it'll be down here. You can just click on it. So this is what it should look like. If you need to expand your toolbar to match mine, that might be good. So, you know, to bring in any kind of image, you would do a file place, right? To find images like stock photos, you know, you could go to Unsplash. Here, you know, you would just find an image that you liked. You know, maybe I like this owl, and then download it at size large, probably. Or the original size is even better, honestly. Higher resolution. So we can download that. That'll go to my downloads folder, and I can bring that into my document. FreePick is a good one. Same kind of process. Maybe a slightly different download button, but you can search for, you know, veteran. And, you know, they have some images in here. We can go to free here and try to just find the free ones. So they have some good ideas here. You can download any of these files that you like. You know, maybe we'd want to go here and then just push the download button. Free download. Okay, so that went into my downloads folder. And then there's also Pexels. So let's see if they have anything from Havre. Oops. Nothing that looks too Havre. This kind of looks like Havre. So that might be Bozeman area or something though. But anyway, you could just download this with the download arrow. Trying to find something that looks like Montana is a good idea, obviously, right? These are like glacier area. It's not so much Hill County. You might want to keep it a little more local. But you can use anything that kind of would work, you think, for Havre. And then if you don't want to use stock photography, you could go into Illustrator and you could create an illustration in Illustrator if you felt comfortable with that. You can work off of real photos of people, and you could create your illustration in here, save it out as an AI file, and then you could, you know, go into InDesign, do a file place. So I'm going to go ahead and do a file place. I don't have much more time on this video to spare, so I'm going to go into my downloads and go to my list view and then go to date modified, which is today. We're going to bring in maybe this poster. This isn't obviously applicable to this particular poster design, but if I push W on my keyboard, I can see it better. If I need to resize, I can use the free transform tool to resize it and, you know, get it looking a little bit more centered. And I can go to my links panel, and I do need to check all of my links, remember. This is RGB. The effective PPI is still close enough to 300 to be okay at this size. If I need to size it down, that will make the effective PPI higher. If I do a control click on this, I can edit with Photoshop. And this is how we can change our links to CMYK using Photoshop. So that should have automatically opened in Photoshop once we control clicked on that, edit with Photoshop, and then we would go to image mode, CMYK color, make that CMYK. You can also do an adjustment layer of levels. We did this earlier in the semester. And then just change the levels, you know, make these colors pop a little bit, and then save this. A lot of times you're going to end up saving it as a PSD file out of Photoshop, which is fine. That just means you have to relink it in the links panel. So I would relink and go to that new file that I saved out which is going to take me a while to find.